Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the winter edition of Hardcore Finesse Fishing, Tackle Shop Live.
A sunny day, right there you took my breath away. A young and pretty, was it just a dream?
Mike, Matthew Weimer, time to roast George. Guarantee you.
Get him while he's down.
Scott Lovecoff, Larry Shope, how you doing? Robert Donahue, what's up, man? Jamie Johnson, yeah. George is not feeling well. Hey, man, how's everybody over here at TikTok doing? Thanks for stopping in to another edition of Tackle Shop Live. And this is Tackle Shop Live, winter edition, Finesse. So we got a lot to talk about tonight. My name is Mike Acord, and tonight, this is Nick Wink.
How's it going, everybody?
Not cameraman Nick tonight, just Nick Wink. Yeah, as you guys can see, George is not in the picture. He's been ill the last couple days, so I told him he was going to come in tonight anyway, but I told him we don't need the germs in here, so take the night off. Me and Nick will handle everything here. We'll have a great show. It'll be fun.
Kevin, it's true. I needed a telephone book to stand on to, like, it's all right.
That's my little man right here, little big man right here. That's all you guys need to know. That's a little big man. And he can stick them too.
Oh yeah.
So this is cameraman Nick. Nick is gonna help us out tonight, and we got a great show for you tonight. We're gonna talk about late winter fishing, the coldest of the cold, the finesse fishing part of this, and getting down the nitties and gritties of yanking these fish out of this cold water. Although we haven't had it around here the last couple of days. We've been living large around here, man. It was almost 60 degrees a day. It was unbelievable. So we're fishing cold water, but it's a warming water, and the fish are just chomping on the like crazy. So George and I and Corbin got out on Sunday for our annual New Year's Eve fishing trip. We always go to get our New Year's fish in, if it's possible. So there's been a couple of years where it was froze over, but that's the only thing that keeps us from going, Nick. We're hardcore.
You are hardcore. You told me the first time I met you, you go, Nick, we fish until the lures bounce.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We do. And on this trip, it was perfect. We get there. I mean, I'm dressed down. I got my heavy coat on, but I got it unzipped. And but you get on the water, though, you got to remember, and this is something I tell people that fish in the wintertime. Dress, even though it may be warm at the house when you step out of the house.
Right.
The closer you get to that body of water, that the water temperature is 37, 38 degrees, it gets cold. And it just a little bit of wind.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
because I can't tell you how many people that don't fish, and you're after a hard day fishing, and you come home and you're tired and your face is windblown and you're done. And they're like, well, it was warm here all day. They don't get it.
No, it's like, it's crazy. So, you always wear and put on a lot of clothes, because guess what? You can always take them off. You can always take them off. You can shove them in your rod lockers and in your storage hatches, and you can always take the stuff off. But it turned out that I didn't take my heavy jacket off all day. I could have a couple times. It got pretty warm a couple times where we were fishing. So I did. I just unzipped it. And the other thing we do this time of year, Nick, and we talked about it many times on here, is we put our life jackets on when we get out of the truck.
Right.
And then they never come off.
No. And, I don't know about you, Mike, but I'm not using inflatables right now.
You're right. Well, so that's totally the other part of it. When you're out there and it's super, super cold, and it's 30, 32, 33 degrees, and you got a wind chill going, these inflatables aren't the best.
No, they're not. And you know what? Let's face it. In the world we live in right now, a lot of us anglers, what do we want to do? We want to look the part, right now ain't the time to worry about that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
wear the old style life jacket. It could save your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the one thing that I didn't say right away, and I wanted to, and you know how the show goes, it starts and you're like all out of whack, is Happy New Year to everybody. You know, 2023, I'm really excited for 2023. It came too quick. You know, these years, you know, you get older, Nick, once you start growing up a little. These years, man, they start clicking. You know, they're just popping by left and right. And you know, 2022 just was a blur to me. It was.
You know what's good about that though, Mike? They say time goes by when you're having fun.
Oh yeah, and you know we always have fun.
That's right.
Yeah, you know it. That's a good analogy, Nick.
Matters.
That's a good analogy. So, Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful, prosperous, successful new year for whatever you guys want to do. I know fishing wise, you know, I'm going to try to fish a little bit more and you know, get out on the water when I can, and you know, do whatever it takes. Just get out there and fish a little more than I did in 2022. You know, no excuses. I'm not going to use any more excuses for fishing.
No excuses.
Yeah. So anyway, Happy New Year to everybody there on TikTok. I appreciate you guys very, very much. And then of course our OGs on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you guys so much for tuning in all last year. It was great. We had a great successful year, and we're looking to do this for a whole nother year. You know, whatever topics come up, we're going to do them. You know, we're just going to have a great old time. So Richie Hall's in the house. Robert Bretz is there. Troy Wink, what do you say? Hey, there he is right here. You know, yeah, he's
big time.
He's the big time now. And we also have Go Gomez in the house, and of course Mark from Lisa Lake Fishing Club. How you guys all doing? Couple quick announcements here. Bass Fest 2022 is getting very, very close. We kind of finalized our
2023.
I'm sorry, 2023. What did I write 2022 for? Change that right now. 2023. We have we finalized our seminar speaker lists. So we got Gray Buck, of course, Greg DePalma, GDP is going to be here. Bill Lowen's going to be here. And Nick Kousis is going to be here. And then we just signed on David Mullins. And you guys know him. He's a big hammer from down in Tennessee. He's going to be really exciting to have here. But, you know, everybody, all these guys are just really super awesome guys. We had a great time with Gray Buck last year. He's only going to be here Friday, but I think everybody else is going to be here Friday and Saturday. One thing I want you guys to check out, though, is by the weekend, I'm going to have the seminar list up, you know, the times that everybody's going to be speaking, so that you may want to plan your trip, you know, be there when somebody is speaking. We're going to have that on the website. You go into sfttackle.com and you can click on the banner and it'll take you right into the show page, and it has parking information, where to park. We have a bus that runs back and forth. No problem. It's a bass bus, which is pretty cool. So we will take care of you guys. You know, we got the food vendor here is the Bass Club, the Junior Bass Club, Legends Junior Bass Club is going to be here doing hot dogs and pulled pork sandwiches and drinks and chips and stuff like that. So they're going to have that going on. Great time. It's a great time. It's a great educational experience. What we do here is just do a lot of education. So that one's coming up. That's the next one on the list. Get ready for it. I mean, we are psyched about it. We're so excited. All these guys are coming. And then right after that is in February, the 11th is Smallmouth Saturday. That one's we're starting to gear up for right now. We're working on some great speakers for that also.
Hey, Mike, we got to talk about this, though, a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I know you guys, I know what you do this for. It's for you.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
with this list of anglers that are coming, take advantage of it, everybody, because I look at this list here and I see Dave Mullins, great crankbait fisherman.
Yeah.
Greg DePalma. I mean, he can catch them from one side of the
spectrum to the other. Yeah.
Great Buck. Awesome smallmouth up north. Bill Lowen. You talk about
shallow water master.
Shallow water. Everybody keeps talking about, hey, you got to have live. You got to have this. You got the guy here to talk to.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it, because what we see happen a lot of time, Mike, and you know this.
Oh, yeah.
People come in that door, they bear left because they're trying to avoid you.
Yeah.
You know, don't do that.
Yeah.
Come right in, ask questions, get in seminars, take notes.
Well, and you're right, Nick. I mean, education is what it's all about here at our shop. All of us learn every single time when you talk to somebody that, you know, is kind of influential in fishing. And you just learn these little things, you know, and then you can try them out, and this makes you a better angler overall. So this is what it's all about: coming in, taking notes at the seminars, listening, asking questions. And one of the things we do too that we don't talk about much is door prizes. I mean, we give away a absurd amount of door prizes.
And some of the guys on here, they know.
They know.
They've been,
yeah.
I see them carrying stuff to their vehicles. I'm like, now would you win?
Yeah. So we got a big old pile of them from our sponsors and people that are back in the show. Big old pile of stuff to give away, and it's going to be fun. You know, as we always do that. It's a great time. We do tickets after each seminar, so it's kind of like spread out throughout the day. You know, with that. What else you got, Nick?
It says there, is there going to be boats on site this year?
Well, we're working on some guys. Lakeside Marine's definitely going to be here. So there's going to be some G3 stuff here for sure, and maybe some custom boats that they do. I'm not sure 100% sure what they're bringing. And then, of course, we always have our guys from Skeeter up at Town Marine. They're going to be here. I haven't heard back from them, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna show up.
Nice.
They usually call me last minute and say, "Oh yeah, we're coming. Don't worry, we're gonna be there." So they always bring, you know, some great Skeeter boats in, and our guy who would bring the Rangers and the Phoenixes, we're working on him. So who knows, but there definitely going to be some boats here. Absolutely. This is a full-blown show, man. We have representatives here from many manufacturers as we could get to come in here. They're going to be here with repping their products, answering questions. And then we have, you know, a lot of local hardcore fishermen here that are going to be walking around helping. You know, it's just a really good time. It's really fun. It's a great time to just hang out and talk fishing. And we got 2 days of it. So we got a Friday and a Saturday. Bass Fest 2023. You do not want to miss it. Come on in, talk to us. And then on top of all that, we have great sales.
Awesome sales.
Yeah. And this year we're kind of going over the top with some great stuff. You know, Strike King's doing buy 3, get 1 free on all Strike King products. So you buy 3 plastics, you get 1 free. You buy 3 crankbaits, you get 1 free. You buy 3 topwater baits, you get 1 free. So that's a really good buy there. We have Luz doing some great, crazy discounting stuff going on. And, you know, you buy a Luz reel, you get a rod for 40% off.
I'll tell you what.
I'm telling you.
And you guys are stocked up.
Oh, yeah, we got stuff, man. You don't have to worry about that. We got plenty of it. George has been spending all the money. Awesome. All the money. So we got lots of stuff here. And, you know, so we have a lot of add-on sales like that. We got, buy something, dial a reel, you're going to get, spool a line, and just some great discounts on dial rods. We have a closeout we're doing, a special closeout we're doing on some rods here. So you're going to definitely want to check that out.
And Mike, you had asked me, you said, Nick, you have anything else? Yeah, I do, because you might want to know, what are we going to talk about with these pros that are coming in? You got to realize the season doesn't end for them.
Yeah.
Right now, as we speak, Greg DePalma is down in Florida.
Yeah.
He's where it's really warm and green. And, he's pre-fishing.
Yep.
Getting ready for the season.
Yep.
And there's a lot to talk about, when you guys get here with that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So, a lot of cool stuff with those guys. What I like about when these guys come to here is they're cutting edge. So you're going to be learning about some cutting edge techniques and some ideas that they have that are cutting edge. And it just brings it to light very quickly. And I'm telling you, guys who come to these shows learn stuff that nobody else knows about and won't learn about for over a year. because you know, they're going, that's what they're implementing right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, Nick?
Oh yeah.
So they're talking about some crazy stuff. I've been working in here already when you know, a pro was in here walking around and somebody grabbed a hold of him and was talking to him. And I heard something and I'm like, well, wait a second. I just stop what I'm doing, walk over and listen to what they're saying and pick up a little nugget, you know.
You can learn a lot just by listening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have a lot of that going on. I do want to shout out to our boy. Got a couple shout outs. Andre, thank you, brother, for the bourbon, Green River bourbon. Appreciate that. We're going to tap into that a little bit here in a minute. And then also George, thank you, George. I want to say your last name. I'm going to screw it all up. You know, I do that. Potash, I think. Almost sure that's what it is. George, you know, I love you. I just I can't pronounce your last name. And here he got us a McKellen's 12. Appreciate that very much. You know, all the gifts that everybody brought in for over the holidays. Thank you guys so much. And we'll be cheering that today a little bit, Nick. But here's to you, George, and here's to you, Andre. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Boy, that's some good stuff. Okay, let's get this show going here. This is a segment we're going to call Tackle Talk. So I don't have a whole lot on it. George isn't here to really school me on all this stuff. I have a few things I want to talk about. And one of them is George has been talking about this a lot, and he's a big giant fan of the Greenfish Tackle Company. And you guys know we talked about the Matt Herron flipping jig last week, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And how quality that was and the thought that went into it and some of the stuff that they're doing with it. Well, another really good jig, and this is from Greenfish, and it's a Brian New product. Brian's sponsored by Greenfish, and he has a lot of stuff going on. He has a spinner bait that we just added in also. We didn't get it up on the website, but it's here. But he has a couple of things that it's called the Big Little Dude, and he has a jig, and then he also has this Finesse. This is a little small Finesse style jig, if you can see that. It's kind, you know, it's not real big. You can see my finger here. It's not a tiny Finesse jig, but it has a nice size hook in it. And the other nice thing about it, it has round rubber in it. So the round rubber is something that he really likes. It doesn't have it in all of them, but it's available in this line. He has silicone, and he also has a round rubber. That's the kind of things that they're doing. They're whatever those pros want to make and design. That's what's nice about Greenfish. They do it. So this is a nice little jig. It's a jig that has a lot of power behind it. Has a nice hook. You can fish this thing. See if I can get it out of here for you, so we can show it a little better. Look at this thing. I mean, I just think, look at the size of that. That's just a beautiful little jig, and this is the round rubber brown jig. Just a real sweet little jig. You can put any kind of trailer on it. It has a nice big trailer keeper on the back here. So no matter what you put on there, it's going to hold nice. You see, it's a Finesse style hook, but it's nice and rigid, Nick. I love it. It's a nice stiff hook. So you're not going to throw this on a big flipping stick. This is not what it's made for. But you can still throw this on 15-pound line and get the job done really well.
I am telling you what, last week came to the shop and the guy said, we got a new jig in. I went back there. I looked at it because I am very, very hard on what jig I like. You guys know what jig I like. The Kitech casting jig. Love it. Caught a lot of fish on that jig. I'm here to tell you, this jig is going to rival that for me. I like the hook. It's like you said, it's not too much.
It's not a heavy hook, but at the same time, it's not a really super thin wire hook.
The weed guard to me is perfect. You don't even have to, in my mind, you don't even have to trim that weed guard.
we talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time you have to kind of tweak the weed guard a little bit. But if you look at this weed guard here, you can see it's kind of sparse because you're not throwing this in a heavy cover.
Nope.
But it's just enough to keep it out of the rocks and keep it out of the grass and keep the grass off the point. But it's real fine so that with a lighter line and a lighter rod,
yep,
you're going to be able to get this hook stuck real good. And the other sweet thing is it is a heavy duty hook. I'm not sure what hook they use in it, if they even say. But it's a really nice sharp hook, and it's a thin wire, but again, it's not that thick wire jig. It's a lot like a bitsy bug.
Yeah.
Jig. It's a lot like a bitsy bug jig.
And to me, Mike, I think you said it perfect. For me, it's a 7-1 medium heavy, 15-pound test.
Yeah.
Loving it all day long. And I want to tell you something. I talked to Brian New down at ICAST when we were down there.
Yeah.
And he took me to the side and he goes, "Hey, Nick, I got this." He didn't even know who I was.
Yeah.
He goes, "Hey, Nick, I got this new jig coming out." He gave me his phone number, everything. He was so excited about this jig. And Mike, Brian New can catch some fish.
That kid, that kid, he just keeps impressing me.
Yeah. And then
even when he's behind and down and out.
So I didn't even see this jig at that time. But last week when I seen it, I couldn't wait till today where I could actually talk about it because, like I said, I'm particular with jigs. And this is a dynamite jig right here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Fantastic jig. Check them out. They're on the website right now, ready to go. That's at sfttackle.com. And you can check them out. They're right on the front page on new products. And then right beside it is the Matt Heron jig. That's up and running, also from last week. So you guys can kind of check in and check this company out. Very, very good.
And I don't know if you said it's 1/4 ounce, 3/8, and 1/2 ounce.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I don't know if I can zoom in on that or not.
Probably best if you put your hand behind it like you did.
All right.
Yep, that's perfect.
So that's the jig.
That's got the round rubber.
That's the round rubber jig. Yeah.
Very, very nice jig, everybody. Oh yeah.
So trailer wise on that, Nick, what would you like to put on something like that?
Well, I'm in love with that new Maxcent Little Trooper, and you got one here.
Well, I don't have the new Super Trooper.
The Super Trooper.
Yeah.
I like the Super Trooper.
Just a little bit bigger than the Trooper.
Yeah.
But it has those nice swimming claws on it.
I might cut it down a little bit to get the length I want on there.
Yeah.
But that combination, I mean,
that's
tender little morsel them fish got to eat.
That's definite money. I like that with Nick. I like that big time. I like putting that little since they started making it, that thing I've been using a lot on little bitty jigs, and it has like that rage tail kind of claw on it, in that Maxcent, with that Maxcent scent in it. So you're getting the best of both worlds. But I also like like small chunks. This time of year, the 101s, the the tiny chunk. And then even pork, that little smaller size pork, you can slide that on there for this time of year. But any kind of little small 3-inch, even a 4-inch that you cut down to 3 inches is going to be right on that jig.
Right. And I think that's going to go along with what we're going to be talking about tonight. And don't think those small baits can't catch big fish.
No, not at all. Not at all. They're, with the pressure that these lakes and bodies of water are experiencing, people are scaling down, and you can see it with Brian New. He could be down and out, and he'll just scale down, man, and just whack a limit and be right back in it. And these small little morsels right here, they're small and powerful, just like my buddy Nick over here.
Oh yeah,
he's small and powerful. He's got, this is a bait. This is a bait that does it. It catches big fish. It's not afraid to catch big fish, and it will absolutely hammer some big fish. So that's the new product on the list tonight. And the other thing I want to just kind of reiterate from last week's show is because it went over so well, is the SLX A series of rods. Make sure you check those out on the website while you're in there clicking around. We got a lot of them, and we sold a bunch after our last show. For $99, you got 2 rods that you really want to look at. You want to look at the Shimano SLX A series, and you want to look at the Daiwa XT, Tatula XT series. Those 2 rods, they're competing head to head, so they're really brought. The A is a new style and a new production for 2023, and the XT is the Tatula XT is the rebuttal to the Shimano from Daiwa, and I'm telling you, those things are friggin' phenomenal. So you can save a lot of money. They're $99. These jigs, how much were these jigs, Nick? We'll look that up for you here, Andre. But they're priced right. They're priced right. But anyway, those rods you definitely want to check out also on that. Yes, Paul, you know, Mega Bass, we're gonna do what we can with them. They're gonna bring a bunch of stuff. I can't really announce what we're gonna be doing, but you know, you just need to be here for our sales. They're just always good. New chunk, yeah, Matthew Weimer, the new missile chunk, man, it's perfect size. It's a perfect little chunk. I love it. I used it. It fits all the baits really nice. It got great kick to it, and the color patterns that you can get in there to match up with your jigs are absolutely beautiful. So absolutely, you know, make sure you check out those missile baits. We're going to be talking about some missile stuff tonight on our show when we get to the topic of the technique we're going to talk about. Yeah, we could show them. Hey, Nick, grab a missile chunk. Yeah, we'll grab one and show you. Nick's running around getting stuff. So Joshua Weinbrenner, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. More time fishing. What's up, buddy? 549. Thank you, pal. Our customers are answering our questions. You know, beautiful stuff. Todd Allen, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. It's good to see you, pal. Love it, love it, love it. Missile baits, new chunk. Not that big one. You got the little chunk? In there, a little chunk in the bag, the little chunk bait. That's a new bait too, though. You can bring it, you can show that too. Zoom is on that thing. Yeah. There's any kind of zoom, you know, chunk trailer, you know, for this kind of fishing is awesome too. For sure. Anyway, so you know, that's kind of like the deal with our tackle end of things. Nick's going to bring a couple things up here. We're going to show you still, but you guys are just answering all my questions here. Jason Bass is in the house. How you doing? Tommy Turner. How you doing, pal? Tanner Weimer, what's up, bro? So here's that chunk. This is a pretty cool chunk. Oh, I got a man down. There's their chunk. It's a pretty cool little deal. You know, it's got the, you know, it has the swimming trailers on it, but they're longer. So you can thread this on real nice. And it gives, another thing it really gives nice, it gives a nice body. It's thin, but it gives it a nice profile that a fish can kind of look at and get a little bit more of a thicker profile on it. So this thing really does look good on any kind of jig, you know, the finesse jig, but even in some of your bigger jigs, finesse jig, you might want to pinch a little bit off the front of it, but look how long those legs are. They got a real nice long leg on them, and they do have those kickers on it. And it is a really nice bait. You can show that, Nick, on the camera there for those guys. But Missile, the thing about Missile is they're coming out with some crazy great stuff, and we just love them to death. And they got a new bait out that we didn't get up on the website yet, but it's called the Chunky D. They're in the house right now. This is the Chunky D. You're going to be able to see that here on the website very soon. That's perfect, Nick. Yeah. So you can see that bait. That's awesome. Chunky D's in the house. You'll see that here at the show if you come next week. And next week, sometime that'll be on the website. But they're doing some great stuff. And I seen in the works that Missile is also collaborating with a company and doing a swim bait. So you've seen that they did the Robo Worm, and they did a new collaboration with them and came out with their straight worm, drop shot worm, or a shaky head worm. Beautiful worm, Robo Worm technology. The colors are just fantastic. So they're really putting out some good stuff. Now they have a swim bait. So I don't even know if it's a swim bait, really, Nick.
Yeah, don't sleep on missile baits.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're talking to John Cruz down at ICAST. They're all about making sure before it goes out there for you.
Yeah,
that their pros fine tune it.
Yeah,
to what they want.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And Colin Linton, as again, you guys are on it big time. It's the Spark Shad from Hog Farmer. So, Missile just does the great stuff. Hog Farmer is a small little company. They can't really produce, the quantity needed to kind of boost their company and to get it out to all the guys. We're unable to get it all the time. So, Missile partnered with Hog Farmer. They're going to come out with that bait, and I'm sure they're going to tweak some colors and have some cool Missile colors also in that, but also some of the old school Hog Farmer colors. So it's going to be pretty cool what they do. They're just doing a lot of this stuff, and I like what they do. I like how they do it, and it's what's nice is it opens it up so that we all can kind of get our hands on it. So that's really cool. Okay, yeah, there you go. Nick Ferry, how you doing? Good to see you, buddy. William Barnes, yeah, with Hog Farmer. The Spunk Shad. Yeah, is that what it is? A Spunk Shad or Spunk Shad? Spunk Shad. Yeah, that's it. Okay, very good. So there you have it. You have the Bad Little Dude from Greenfish. Check it out. And these baits are ready to go, and you don't want to miss them. You definitely don't want to miss them. Nice hat, you betcha. Got a great hat. Nick has a nice hat.
Oh yeah, I love these hats.
Great hats. So one of the things that happens in here this time of year is it kind of slows down. We're still busy, but it kind of slows down a little bit, and we get to talk to fishermen and really talk the kind of lingo that we like to talk, just like this nice, slow-paced kind of lingo. It's hardcore bass fishing, hardcore information. And today I was talking with a fella from out of town, and he was telling me about fishing in New Mexico, which was pretty cool. And Elephant Butte. Did you ever hear of that lake?
Never heard of it.
Well, back in the day, Elephant Butte was like one of the hottest lakes going in New Mexico, right on the New Mexico Texas border. So he was telling me that it's 86 feet low. And it's fishing. It happened a couple of years ago, and Elephant Butte is not
that's an amount of water that we can't even fathom.
86 feet low, and and he's struggling. So what he's doing is he's taking like 3-4 day weekends and driving to Texas. He's going down to Texas, and he's fishing, Lake Fork. Well, Lake Fork's 8 or 9 hours for him, but he does like a trip to Lake Fork, which, by the way, Lake Fork is on fire right now. And then he might do another trip that's maybe only 3 or 4 hours away, but he'll spend the weekend there over in Texas. But Elephant Butte, back in the day, and that's not even that long ago, maybe 5-6 years ago, Nick.
Okay.
It was fishing really good, but really 10-12 years ago, it was a really smoking lake.
Now you're saying 86 feet low.
Yeah.
Is that all the lakes are losing water, or
no,
just that one?
No, like he said that it just depends on what's going on. Like Elephant Butte, the politics that got involved is selling all the water to Texas.
Here we go.
So they selling the water to Texas. They're using it for whatever, drinking water or whatever they're using it for. So that's the kind of things that are happening. And like about the Nevada lakes, how low they are, like Lake Mead and all that stuff. Well, that's all drinking water and water that they use for Las Vegas. And then some of that water, there's other bodies of water out there that goes all the way to California, and they use it for drinking water and water supplies. So those water supply lakes are the ones getting hammered, because just right now, for some reason, the weather patterns just aren't producing that kind of water. Now they've been getting a lot of snow here lately. The packs are starting to come back. You saw all the storms we had over the last couple of weeks. So I think you're going to see, those bodies of water coming up a little bit. Now, can it rebound quickly? No, it's not going to happen. It's going to be years for them to rebound, but any little bit's going to help them. So hopefully the weather patterns will turn around to where, we get the nice snowpacks in the winter, and that'll feed in when on the snow melt, that'll feed in and fill up some of these lakes, and they'll get, New Mexico.
Well, see, it sounds to me like I got to get down there fishing, Mike, because if it's 86 feet low,
yeah,
so you got to take a negative and turn it into a positive. That just means these fish have nowhere to hide from.
Well, that's what I said to the guy. I was like, well, being low like that, it's probably treacherous to run around. He was like, nah, it's just the fishing, the spawns were so messed up over the last 5 years that the fishing is just not that good anymore. So they took a really awesome lake, and because of some politics that went on, it just made it bad.
Lake Fork water temps were in the 40s.
Yeah. Well, it was cold all over the country. This cold snap we just came out of, folks, was a bad cold front. I mean, it was, how it was in Pennsylvania here. It was extremely cold, single digits into the negatives a couple of days with the wind chill factor. We had negatives. So, and it stayed like that for a long time. And all of our little small ponds and stuff, they all froze over, and they were playing hockey on them, which is amazing. So it happened very quickly. And that got deep to the south, and a lot of those areas in Florida. I think I talked to a guy in Florida yesterday, and he said during that cold snap, it was, into the 40s in some of those spots in Florida. So yeah, it was cold as hell. But Lake Fork is back up,
and they're catching them.
They're whaling them. They're hammering them, smashing them, like I did on Sunday.
How'd that go?
It's awesome. It was awesome. Went fishing on Sunday with Corbin. I think I said something about it. And
somebody told me that George wasn't on time.
Yep. George wasn't on time. He missed out a little bit of time there. So we had bad communication. We didn't, it was New Year's Eve. There might have been some alcohol involved or something for some of
Sounds like fun.
And whether the texting got done or not, fact is that 2 of us showed up out of the 3 on time. So one was messed up going somewhere else, and the other 2 were there on time. But we went fishing. We got our 2023 fish in. That was cool. My first one wasn't a giant, but it was a 15-incher, nice little smallmouth. That was awesome. I got my fish in. That one was, and I think we're going to morph into our winter fishing off of this little story here, and we're going to morph right into finesse fishing in the winter.
Right.
Okay. This is cold water. This is, so when we got to the boat ramp in the morning, now this is the 4th day of a warming trend, and I'm talking about a crazy warming trend. I'm talking about temperatures, at night only getting down to 42 degrees, and during the day they were high 40s and into the low 50s for 3 or 4 days in a row. And we were just so lucky that some stupid front didn't come in like it usually does on a Sunday for us. But we were able to go out on New Year's Day, Nick, and it was Corbin and I and George, like we always do,
right,
for every New Year's. And we try to get that fish. Now, there's only been a couple times we couldn't go, and the only reason why we couldn't go was the water was frozen, so we couldn't do it. But it was frozen 5 days before, frozen, lots of chunk ice rolling down, and that cleared off for us, and the boat ramps were cleared off, but there was a lot of ice on the shorelines from it packing up, stacking up on the shorelines. So we got in the water, got down to one of the areas we wanted to fish, and we found out that the water temperature was 37.5 degrees. So that's pretty chilly.
That's really chilly.
It's not horrible. It's not where I thought it was going to be 35, 34, 35, 36.
So let me ask you something, Mike. Right away, you said 37 degrees.
Yeah.
So when you get there and you see that, what was your brain telling you right then?
Well, we get down there and we don't have anything rigged up.
Oh.
And the reason you do that is because you don't know what the conditions were.
Right.
So we had some jig heads ready to go, and we had some other things that were ready to go, but we didn't tie anything on. So we sat there and we looked at the water temp, looked at the clarity. That was the other thing, because of the melting and the rain and the melting of the snow and the melting of the ice and stuff, and dirty things up. And there was some rain stuff that went on here and there. And we found that, the east side of the body of water we were fishing was dirty, and as you went out towards the middle, it got clear, and then on the west side it got nice and clear. It got the perfect color, but there was still a lot of debris in the water, like old rotten leaves and stuff, and that's normally because of a rising condition. It was the water, the water flow was picking up, and it was starting to stir some of that stuff up again. So right away we knew, plus we knew from our phones, that it was going to be a rising river day. So we were excited about that.
Yeah, I know you always like that.
I love it. So we start fishing, and we get our baits, we tie everything on, and one of the things that we like to throw in the wintertime, just to start things off, is a Ned rig. And in cold water, and I don't care where you go, but in cold water, that's maybe not real crystal clear, but it's clearer, and even if it's like nice and clear, one of the greatest colors that you can throw, Nick, in a cold is black.
I love that color.
Yeah. Black. Now, black works all the time, but black this time of year, and I don't know if it has to do with the fact that the crawfish are kind of buried in, but there's some other things crawling around down there that might do it. But that black in that cold water for us is a key bait. So I wanted to throw something that I know I was catching fish on.
Yeah, confidence.
Right. Exactly. I was catching fish on them a couple of weeks earlier.
Yep.
Okay. So break it out, throw around, not getting bit. We're just kind of feeling out how fast we can move the bait. And once we dialed in a little bit slower and slower and slower, and got to that little slow, let it set, kind of just barely kind of moving it, let the current just do its thing, not even moving that far at all, because we're fishing a nice eddy pocket. I get a nice bite. I set the hook, and it's my 2021 fish, or 2023 fish. It was 15 inches. It was a nice stretch on the line. It was a great time. And we put that fish in the boat. And I noticed where I caught that fish, what had a little bit more current, just a fuzz hair more current. Right. So I didn't tell Corbin. Right. I'm letting Corbin kind of, teach him a lesson. Right. You got to teach the kids the lessons. So I fire out again, right on that same little bubble that kind of dropped off, a little rock that dropped off in, a little bit more current, but there was still that eddy pocket behind that rock real tight. Boom. There's another one. Dink, catch another one.
Now you're on to something.
Yeah. So now I'm like, okay, they want a little current, but they they still want that pocket type thing.
Right.
So I put that in my back of my head, and we're fishing around, and I think I miss another one. I think I missed one, and then the phone rings, and here's George calling. I'm here. I'm ready to go. Okay. So we're like, oh yeah, we got to pick up the G-Man, get him in the boat, and we need to go fishing. So I put him in the boat. We pick him up, and then we go the opposite direction. We go up the river, away from where we were catching them, because that's where we wanted to go to begin with.
Okay.
So we went way up to this other area, and the place is called the Mikey Hole.
That's got to work.
It's a Mikey Hole. It's Corbin named it. So we go in there, and Corbin's running the boat, and he's in there running around, and we're catching some fish in that same type of thing. It's some current, but it's behind ledges, and he's over against the bank, where we should go, over that way.
Right.
Because the fish should be going that way. But we're catching like 1.5 to 2.5 pounders, which I love that.
Yeah, you like a tight line.
I don't mind.
Yeah.
I'll catch anything.
Right.
And we're catching these fish. And I just, in the back of my mind, I'm going, man, this just isn't what's going on here. So I kept saying to Corbin, hey, let's go out to that. Let's follow the ledge out and get more out towards the middle and a little bit more current and fish behind some of those ledges out there that I know really well.
Right.
Henceforth, the Mikey hole. Okay. And George is like, man, nothing but carp out there. And Corbin was like, Mike, you don't understand. We've been fishing here. They're all carp. I said, but you weren't fishing the right way. Honestly. So he goes, all right, I'm going to go out there. So he goes out there, but he's not really where you need to be.
Right.
And guess what he does? Catches a 40-pound carp. I'm not kidding you, man. This carp was like this. And what was so unbelievable was it was that big around, folks. I'm not kidding you. The thing was this big around. It was huge. And the tail on it was like a snow shovel.
So I'm guessing after he caught that, it's like, hey, we told you there's a carp here.
So while he's fighting it, I'm on the trolling mode. Now I got the boat. Right. I jump up there. I got the boat for you, Corbin. Just land that fish. I got you. I got this thing on high speed and I'm jacking up towards this ledge that I like to fish.
Yep.
Has, and what you got to understand is it has current, but behind the ledge, it's not, there's no current there. So you just need to get past the current and down along that ledge to get to the fish, and that's exactly what what we wanted to do. And we get up there and I said to Corbin on the way up, and Warren comes up here. He goes, oh, you couldn't wait for, you just can't believe me, do you? You just don't believe me. I'm like, just give me a second. And I get up on this ledge and I say to Corbin, you watch, I'm going to get this boat up and I'm going to position it for George and he's going to start smacking hogs right away. Corbin's like, yeah, whatever. So we get the boat up over the ledge, get it perfect for George to throw right along the ledge, right? But up enough that when it falls right behind it. And it was key, the weight we were using. And George throws out there, and I'm not kidding you, the first freaking cast, 4-pounder. And I got a picture of it.
4-pounder.
Yeah, I got a picture of it. I think we either posted them or will be.
And that's his first 2023 bass.
Yeah. No. We were catching fish.
Oh, okay.
No, we were catching. Yeah, we were catching fish, but we were learning all day long catching these fish. But in my mind, I remembered what happened down there, and the fish were biting more in that than the still water, the still pockets, because the water was on this move. You see.
Yep.
So they pulled tight against those ledges. It's a classic pattern. Cold water, doesn't matter as long as there's an eddy pocket, and it doesn't have to be like a dead spot. It just needs to be slower current, but behind that ledge it's going to be dead water, and those baits would just fall down there. He catches another one like 4 pounds. First one was over 4. Second one was like 4 pounds, and then he catches another one on the third cast, which was about 3.5. And then I'm like, screw this, and I threw back there, and I catch a 3-pounder, right? And then Corbin throws back there and gets snagged. Then he throws out there again and catches one about 3 pounds. So the point of it is that fish do go to the banks on a rise in water, but if it's the start of the rise, they don't get there right away.
Right.
So as the day goes on there, they might be moving over there, towards the bank, but for us, it never got there until the next day.
Well, what I like about your story a lot, Mike, is the fish did move to where you thought they would.
Oh, yeah.
But they weren't the right size fish. But you didn't sit there and go, all right, well, let's just catch these size fish all day.
All right.
You wanted to go look for what you wanted to look for.
Right. Exactly. And I we always do that. George and I and Corbin, we always look for big fish, but we were just kind of having fun catching fish. And we were really, really struggling up until that point. Right. So we fished, we were only catching a fish here and fish there, but you're learning all this stuff while you go throughout the day, making some bait changes. And one of the bait changes we made was going to a Kitech swing impact 4-inch, and I think I got one here. Did I get one?
Which color you want?
Sungill. It was a Sungill color, and when we got over to where I was fishing, George noticed right away that there was a lot of bait right on that edge where we were catching them. They were out, just pushed out from where the bass would be, just a little bit. And so he put on a Sungill 4-inch swing impact. It should be right there, right straight in front of you, Nick. Yeah. 4-inch Sungill right here. Yep. So this bait right here is amazing in the cold water. Now I'm going to show it to you because, and I talked about this bait a lot over the years with you guys, and I shot a lot of videos with it over the years with you guys. And if you look at some of these baits, like a Kitech, like a Ned rig, it's just a real small, short little piece. A hair jig is real short. Some of the stuff we're going to talk about here, but this one is. It's not even it, Nick.
That's not the one.
This is a 3.5. It's up. It's up at head height for you. But anyway, I'm gonna show you the color. But what this bait does is see how soft it is. How when I hold it up, that's worse. Let me put it here. When I hold it up, you see how it bends right away. It's a very soft, subtle swim bait. Yeah, there you go. You can see a difference. This is a 3.5, which a lot of guys throw this. A lot of guys throw this 3.5. Okay. A lot of guys throw the 3.5, but look at the length difference on that, Nick.
You know what's cool? Like Mike, you do mention this bait a lot, but there's a reason for that.
Yeah,
it works.
It's a fish catching machine. And like I said, when you hold it up, you see how it bends real easy. It's nice and soft and supple. So cold water, it stays nice and soft, and it has a real nice little action to it. And it's real quiet moving. So it emulates the currents and stuff that you're in. But the color. This color is just, and I don't know what it is about cold water. This color, sungill, and I don't care where you go, largemouth, smallmouth, whatever. This color right here really, really gets them. So what we do is we fish it on a ball head jig, a 3.0 ball head jig. So it has a nice hook in it. And that particular day, now we fished 8 3/16 and quarter, depending on what we're doing. But that particular day with the current the way it was, and the fall ratio that we wanted to use, we found that 1/8 ounce was the key, was the absolute key. And I think in the Ned rig head we were using a 1/6 ounce, and that was pretty damn close to what we wanted to do. It was a little heavier, but it was okay. But that bait right there, I'm telling you folks, take some notes on this one. Okay, this thing right here, Nick will show you close-ups on it, but that thing right there is a fish catching machine. So stain water to even clear water, for some reason, that damn thing just absolutely smokes them. But it's a soft bait, and it has a soft action to it, is the key to it. But the second key to it is that it has a scent to it. So it's a scented plastic. And the Japanese use what they call squid scent. So a lot of your baits that come from Japan and influenced by Japan that you see, when they say they're scented baits, they're scented with a squid scent. So it's a really nice scent to it. The fish, really hold on to it nice, but it's a real subtle movement, not a fast movement. It's real subtle, and the currents just allow it to do its thing. What it's naturally supposed to do.
Right.
That's a key.
Absolutely.
When you're dealing with current. So, the other thing I was telling you about that we caught them on, and we continued to catch them on this all day long, was the Ned rig, and of course the Ned rig everybody knows about. But there's that black one that we just have been just slaying them on it for the last couple of weeks before that real super cold came. But prior to that, and then we caught some nice fish on this one too. Those baits right there were the key. Now Corbin likes to throw, and George, but Corbin likes to throw the deal, and on the real clear water, that deal kind of outproduced the black, and the deal is more of a bait fish color, and that kind of picked up a little bit more in the afternoon when we were dialing in on bait fish. So,
what's interesting too is there's so many takeaways for everybody to take away.
Yeah.
You had a little bit rising water.
Yep.
So you had to use that little heavier jig head.
Yep.
And not only that, I think the key is too, and I think we're going to find out with a lot of baits we talk about tonight.
Yeah.
Is not overdoing it with the action, letting the bait and the flow or current do the work.
Great point. I mean, I kind of led into that a little bit, but this finesse fishing cold water, and I'm talking cold water, I'm talking 34 degrees. This winter finesse fishing is 34, 33 to, like, depending on where you're at, to like 42, 44. It's cold water. If you're south and the water's 40 degrees, it's cold. It's very difficult to catch fish. Up here, if it's 33, 34 degrees, it's cold. It's very difficult to catch fish. So that's the mentality you got to have going into it.
Yeah.
The second thing is just like George and I and Nick have talked to you guys about, is what, Nick? The 3-day warm-up deal.
Oh, yeah, the 3-day warm-up. And you were on what?
We were on a 4th day.
You were on the 4th day.
So it was just great. But I'll tell you, so we had 36-degree water temperature, and in 4 days it warmed up to 39. And I believe we had 40 somewhere. One time I think I saw 40 one time, but it was actually 39. Solid 39 and a half, 39 and 3/4. So we had that in a 3-day, 4-day period of time.
Yeah.
Right. So the water was increasing. That doesn't mean that you can't do the same thing in 33-degree water temperature to 38-degree water temperature or 36-degree water temperature. It just has to be warming.
Right.
And it makes it a lot easier. Now, you can go out when the water's 33 degrees and it's been like that for 4 or 5 or 6 days, maybe a week. And you can go out and catch fish. And these techniques are also going to work. But being in a limited amount of time that I can go fishing, right? I'm only limited to certain days I can go. I'm going to make sure that if I have that warming trend on that 3rd day to go out, now, whether it's 36 degrees that I'm fishing on the high or 40 like we did on Sunday, that's to be determined for the day. And that's really why we don't tie anything on until we get there.
Right.
So Nick, you got it right.
Well,
set it there and, throw it out there and sit it there.
One of the things I was going to ask you is how important on Sunday was boat positioning? Were you spot locked? Were you drifting with the current?
Well, we didn't have spot lock on that particular boat we were on, but boat position is absolute key to wintertime fishing.
Right.
Presenting the bait properly and being able to fish it properly without the boat getting pushed all over the place with wind and current. On lakes, you got wind that's dealing with all your time, and you want to present the bait at a certain angle and get it, in a certain angle this way, and then a certain angle on this way. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And mess around with those angles and stuff. Boat position is absolutely critical. Some people don't realize that, and the boat does what it does.
And that's the difference between catching them and not.
In this time of year, if you're not standing on that trolling motor, and if you're not constantly adjusting your boat to make the perfect cast and the perfect drift and the perfect presentation in cold water, your catch rate's going to go way down. Right. And you agree with that?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. So, that's very, 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 very critical. Some people do it better than others. The spot lock is so freaking nice. Like I said, we were fighting with the boat on Sunday because we didn't have spot lock, but it was still standing on the trolling motor and making sure it was it was more work.
Right.
And coming from my boat that has spot lock to a boat that doesn't have spot lock, it was just like, okay, it's old times. Before spot lock, this is how we did it.
Yeah, that's nothing new to you.
You just got to keep touching that button. You got to keep touching that button. You got to keep on. You got to keep adjusting. You got to keep the boat where you want it. And that's not just hitting the button and then turning and fishing that whole cast out. While you're got the cast out, you need to be keeping on that trolling motor to make sure that you still want that perfect angle. Telling you, it's a lot of work. But it's going to make a big difference for you guys when you're out fishing. So boat control is a giant critical thing for wintertime fishing.
Now, Mike, with that, this Kitech, with that Ned rig.
Yeah.
What size line were you throwing? Did that play or?
Well, the shallow water that I was fishing, shallower water, I think the deepest we were fishing was 9 feet. So we didn't have as much of the the water and it was warmer. But I was throwing 8 pound on my leader, which is small, but it's not as small as I go. What if you were fishing in super cold water, Nick, and some of the stuff that you do, what do you consider light line?
It right, real cold water. I agree with everything you said and everything we talked about. I agree with flow. I use a lot of dead stick technique, a lot of drag technique.
Yeah.
Because I have a hard time fishing slow. I really do. That's not my thing. So I have to use some of these techniques to slow me down.
Yeah.
And I believe that when I go to 6 pound or 8, it helps me get that bait where I need it. And it helps slow me down.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense, but that's what I have to do.
Yeah.
No,
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what you got to slow down. You got to absolutely slow down. So some of these other baits I'm going to talk about, Nick, and me and you were going to talk about, I'm sorry, is, some of this stuff you have to go to 6 pound and that real light stuff, like you're saying, but you really got to push that down to that 6 pound for the real bottom end of this cold water thing. I see these guys are fighting over spot lock. Well, when the spot lock breaks, you got to put your old stuff on,
Well, they got to remember too. See, Mike, I don't know if George fixed your boat or not, but Mike doesn't even like to bolt his
foot pedal down.
down. He moves it all over the front there.
I got to be mobile.
Oh yeah, he's mobile.
I got to be mobile.
That's right.
His spot lock's great, but if you don't have it, it's not the end of the world. You just got to work harder. Let's face it, this freaking things they're not cheap. And if you have a nice Vortex or, a nice whatever you're running, and you just can't. And this goes to you guys, even with spot lock, you can't just throw get yourself trolling motored up into position. All right, this is the perfect position. Now I can make the perfect cast. And you make that perfect cast and the wind starts blowing you right away. Then that's not the perfect cast anymore.
Right.
So it just takes a little bit of more work, your foot on the trolling motor and just touching it a little bit more often and just making sure that, you're looking at whatever you're looking at on the shoreline or the current mark or the lineup that you got lined up on, that you're just touching that motor just to keep it there so that you get that perfect fall and that perfect retrieve. If it's current, you get that perfect fall with the current pushing it so that the bait falls in their face. If we were at a different angle that particular day, we wouldn't have caught those fish.
Right.
Because a lot of the ledges that we did fish, we were throwing straight onto them and it wasn't working. You had to be across them and you had to start on top of it and get it to fall instantly down behind it.
One of the things, Mike, that I think is very critical, and again, it's hard for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm a fisherman that likes to cover water. I'm what you consider a run and gunner.
Sure.
Okay. So for me, in this real cold water, I got to slow down. So what's going to help me slow down is you got to make sure you're where fish are. Because if you're dragging baits through areas where there's no fish, it's going to be hard to keep slow fishing.
Oh yeah.
So that's one of the things. You really got to locate these fish.
Well, that's a giant key. And
you had the Mikey hole. So that sounds to me like that's years of being on.
Well, it is. So that's a perfect point. Even on some of these other bodies of water that I fish, I have these holes that I've generally caught fish out of. And I kind of generally know when to be there and fish them. And I know kind of generally what to kind of throw when I get there. But, when we first started out in the morning, we were fishing what we really thought we should have been fishing and we weren't getting bit. We sat there for pretty much 20 minutes and never got a bite. Caught a couple leaves, caught some grass, got hung up, broke off 2 or 3 times. But it wasn't until we kind of inched our way over to this current edge a little bit that I noticed that there was another little pocket in there, and I just threw at it just because I'm there. It looked good,
right?
And it wasn't that, oh my God, that's where the fish are. It was just we were searching, and as we got closer to the current edges, I'd throw out in the current and let it drop back into the pocket. And when I threw up into this one spot where this boil was, of course, that's a big rock. It fell in behind that rock that made like a little bitty pocket, but still had a lot of current right around it. and boom, I catch one. I throw back in again. Boom, I catch another one. Well, now all of a sudden I'm thinking, now I'm telling Corbin, we need to go up here a little bit and get on this edge a little bit. I think they're in the current a little bit.
Yep.
And then George called, and then we moved out of there. But I think we could have stayed there all day long, caught fish.
Right.
In that area, because it was a big, long area where it was multiple types of water like that all the way in that area. So pretty cool. So we ran back and picked George up, and we kind of said, well, let's go up and try to find that warmer water, because we knew that was 37 degrees. So we're looking for warmer water. And there's a key for you guys. When you're fishing in this super cold water, you're looking for the warm water. You're looking for the warmest water. So what is that? Let's think about this. The sun comes up comes up in the east and sets in the west. So it's going to come up in the east, and it's going to start beating on that western banks, right? Western side of the lakes, the western coves, the western points, the western flats, the western docks.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And what else holds a lot of heat? Rock.
Absolutely.
So, knowing the lake or knowing the river or knowing the body of water, you're going to fish on that side. And I'm telling you, the difference from east to west can be 3 to 4 degrees. You agree?
Yes, very much.
Yeah. And it's just sunlight.
And I couldn't help but think of something when you're saying this.
Yeah.
And it's kind of off the topic, but it is a topic. A lot of people are wondering right now, what are these pros doing going to these lakes right now, pre fishing? What they're doing is they're running these lakes they probably never seen before. They're looking for these structures that if they see the sun coming up from the east, hitting the west, they know on this bank, I seen laydowns.
Yeah.
I seen rock. I seen this.
Right.
So when they get on a pattern like you did,
yes,
where there's more of that to hit.
You can run that the rest of the day. Absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very critical. So, that's the key, is to find that warm water, and the other thing, and notice another nice thing about wintertime fishing, Nick, and I like this. You don't have to get out of bed at the crack of 30 in the morning.
That's always a good thing.
You can get up a little bit later, kind of roll out of bed, that 6:37-ish, and go downstairs and get your coffee ready and get dressed, jump in your truck and be at the ramp at 8:00 for an 8:00 blast off. And even 8:30, even 9:00.
It goes along with what George always says. He's like, they got to make these blasts off later in the morning.
Right. So us old guys, or people are, a lot of the guys who are working hard all week long, and, Saturdays comes around, and the alarm clock doesn't need to go off at 4:30. It doesn't need to go off at 5:30. It doesn't need to go off at 6:30. It can go off at 7. You slept in, you got what you wanted for the weekend, and you can go out there and take your time and get to the body of water, because that sun's beating on that bank.
Absolutely.
It's beating on that spot.
It's just making it better.
Making it better as the day goes on.
And another good thing about this time of year, as that sun's beating on that spot, making it better, probably most of your other buddies are thinking about fishing while you're going out fishing.
Yeah.
And you won't have so much competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason says sometimes the flows will move warmer pockets around, even up the river. So, the key there is he is paying attention to that.
Right.
The key there is that these guys are paying attention to the temperature gauge. And that's, let's get back to it. That's probably one of the most important features on your boat this time of year, is your temperature gauge. When you're dealing with the super cold water and you're looking for fish that want to bite and eat,
use all the tools you can.
Use all the tools. Absolutely.
Why not?
So let's get back to these baits a little bit.
Oh yeah,
Nick, because, we have the baits up here that we want to throw.
Right.
And at least get the day started. Now listen, colors here, folks, we're going to hold up stuff that we really like. It's not set in stone. It's what I'm going to start out with. I started out with my favorite black, okay, Ned rig. It was obvious to me very quickly, once we picked George up and we got up into some of this water, that this was the better choice because we got more bites on this thing. And what's nice is George was throwing this, I was throwing the black Ned rig, and Corbin was throwing the deal. Okay. And we went down the bank and we went down the ledge, or we did what we did, and somebody starts catching fish.
There's your answer.
All right. And then you watch that. It catches another one, and you're fishing right there, and you're not getting bit. You make a change on your bait to a different color, and you're throwing it around and more emulating this type of color, thinking it's a colored thing, right?
Yep.
Not getting bit. Okay. So then the next thing you want to do is just say, okay, we know what the pattern is. The guy's still whacking them on it. So then we all make the change here onto this bait, and then we're all catching fish.
I love that you brought that up because I went fishing with you and George.
Yeah.
And I seen the power of, if you have 3 guys, 2 guys,
yeah,
don't all throw the same thing if you're not on
no,
nothing yet.
Not at all.
Try different things. And then
Absolutely.
like you said, when you have it figured out, but then once it goes away, if it does go away,
yeah,
go back to trying different things again.
And actually, when George started throwing this, because he said, "Hey, listen, I got this rigged up already. I'm gonna fish this." It wasn't that, it was somebody had to throw it, somebody had to throw this, and somebody had to throw that, right? So, but he started with some shad patterns that 2 weeks earlier he was killing them on. 3 weeks earlier, before the cold came.
Right, I remember that.
Okay, he was killing them on that shad pattern. It was a real light color, totally different than this. That particular day, that's the one they wanted. So he started with that. He was not getting bit, and I was catching more fish with him than him on the black Ned rig, but I wasn't doing well.
Okay.
Wasn't doing well. I was catching one every 30 or 40 minutes.
So it wasn't right.
It wasn't quite right, but I thought maybe I'm not changing baits either right away. Okay. Because maybe we weren't on the right fish.
That's true.
Maybe those fish, because we're still working through this scenario. So maybe we weren't on the right fish. So we stayed with these baits. And I can tell you, I promise you, we threw 4 or 5 different baits all day long.
Oh, I know you do.
That's it.
Yep.
We didn't get crazy with it. We weren't changing every 2.5 minutes.
Yep.
So we stayed with the baits, and we figured we weren't fishing the right fish.
Right.
So we kept moving and kept moving and kept moving. And we started piecing it together, started to catch them. We started getting to where the current was right. It kind of mimicked what started out in the morning down below, is what I kind of really felt like was going on, and Corbin started to dial into it, and George started to dial into it. And then we started to catch these fish, and then we positioned the boat properly to do so.
Right.
Okay. And then by the end of the day, getting really on them and saying, okay, this is great, but where's those big fish? Where are they at? No, we haven't caught one yet. We caught 25 or 30 fish. We haven't caught
what you were looking for.
A 3.5 pounder. Yeah. Where did they go? So pushing, moving, pushing, boom, bam, 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 bam. 8 or 10 quality fish go in the boat in a hour and a half, 2 hour period. Makes our day. Now we can go home and we can drink a beer and we can have
a heck of a way to start the.
It's just a great weekend. So,
season.
It's just it was a great day. It was a great way to start the year. And it was just great to work through that. And then it was at that point that we said, we need to really talk about this because, it's so important. So back to these baits, Nick.
Yep.
We get drawn off that real quick.
Well, we're so excited.
So I have a list here of things that are important when you're winter fishing. Okay. So, and this doesn't necessarily have to be right here in our area for you guys who are listening local, but a lot of these guys are from all over. So one of the things that we're really, really key about is a small jig, a finesse jig, a micro size one, the smaller size jigs. Now the jig we showed you first, which was the greenfish tackle, small little jig, some areas and some places, this is as small as you need to go. And this is going to be your finesse jig for this type of fishing, that 40-degree water temperature and lower. This is fine for a lot of places down south, Even around here, you know, in some of these lakes, that's not too big.
I was going to say you can get away with that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not too big.
Yep.
It's so this is the size. You don't want a full size jig.
No.
I mean, guys will throw that and catch fish on it, but they're very limited to what they're going to do.
And we got to be honest with ourselves here.
Yeah.
This time of year, knowing that it's slow, I know we would all love to catch the big fish, but we got to get bites first.
Got to get bites.
So you might want to downsize to try to get those bites first. And then as you get more confidence, get that, you know, blood flowing.
Yeah.
Now we go and try to.
But we're past that winter bite. We're in a deep winter bite.
We're in the deep.
This is not, we're not talking about the winter bite because we discussed all that. We talked about these warming trends where it pops up into 45, 50 degrees temperature, you know, or down south, you're talking, you know, 45 to 55, you know, we're past that. We're into these cold lockdown days. This is the cold lockdown days. And this is where, if you're going to throw a jig, we really get into these small jigs. Again, green, pumpkin, black for me. That's where I'm going to start. I'm going to mess with colors with my trailers, but all across the country, I catch fish on these two colors right here. But super small little micro jigs. Look at these things. They're little bitty, small presentations.
I'm with you 100% on those colors.
Yeah. I mean, that's where you start, Nick.
Absolutely.
You know, yeah. Johnny has a green pumpkin with 2 blue strands in it, and he knocks the hell out of them on it.
I mean,
you know?
let's be honest. If you know a certain body of water, a certain color works, you got to have it.
Got to have it.
But if you need somewhere to start, those two colors.
If you don't know, then you just throw these. They're going to catch fish for you.
Yep.
That'll get things going for you real well. But this, I'm telling you guys, this thing in 35-degree water temperature will freaking flat out slay them in the right conditions, in the right day. Did I throw it on Sunday? No, but I should have.
Yeah, you could have.
I could have.
Yeah.
And I should have, but I didn't because we weren't at that point yet. We know, then all of a sudden we figured something else out and it worked for us.
Right.
That's not to say that a guy right next to us couldn't have been killing him on this thing.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? But what we were doing was good enough for us. We were catching them, blah, 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 blah. So jig guys, this is where you want to go. So this is the Missile Ike's Ike's micro jig. Excellent. Ike did, you know, he wanted small. He knows about this. This is high pressured water, cold water stuff right here. Okay. The next one, Shrooms micro finesse jig. Unbelievable. Great, fantastic, small little presentation for you. And the first thing somebody's going to say here is, what do you put on the back of it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to kind of mess with you guys a little bit here, because nobody's doing enough of this. But on a green pumpkin, I'm not afraid to put a TRD on the back of my shroom because I don't want movement.
That's a great combination.
Yeah, I don't want any movement. I want it to be like tink. I want it to be like, okay, I'm down here. I'm freezing my ass off. I want to sit here. I'm not going to be pinchers, you know, doing this. I'm going to be like, that's it. I'm done. I ain't moving.
Again, that dead sticking.
Yeah.
Let it do its thing. Dead
sticking. Let it sit there. So a TRD is great on the back of a micro jig, whether it's the Missile micro jig or the Shrooms head micro jig. You can put a TRD on the back, and it just gives it that subtle, absolute zero movement because the water's cold as hell and nobody wants to go around and move around.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that is a great trailer that will work for you guys in that low temperature. And then last but not least, one of the best is the Bitsy Bug by Strike King. Small, little nice profile. Again, you can put a TRD in the back. I know guys that are actually even going to the big TRD and putting them on there.
Yeah, that's a great choice,
you know,
too.
Just to kind of give a little bit more bulk.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So the Bitsy Bug is going to get the job done in that along those jig things. The next thing I have here, Nick, is the Ned rig.
Yeah, and I love that you brought up the black, which is the yoga pants. I think if you don't know yoga pants by now,
yeah,
you need to.
Yeah.
You need to get out from underneath that rock, as George would say, because yoga pants works.
Absolutely.
You know, another color that I really like again, going with the black and just the green pumpkins, I really like this green pumpkin goby. It's got a little bit of sparkle to it. I mean, you like the hot snakes. That's a
Well,
nice offset.
that's just one of my color patterns, but again,
Mhm.
green pumpkin, your green pumpkin, your black,
Yeah,
and then for us in the Northeast, the deal.
that's why they call it a deal, right?
Northeast for us, man, this is a bait fish killer. That's the other one. You don't have to go crazy with it. And then I'm going to add something to this, Nick, with your Ned rig fishing.
Yeah.
Is the weights.
Oh yeah.
Okay. In this cold water, you don't want to feel the bottom hardly.
Right.
And by that I mean the you're going to watch your line and you're going to see it go slack when it hits the bottom, but you're not going to feel a thump. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You're not feeling dunk, dunk, dunk as you're jigging because that's too fast.
You want to kind of just flowing.
You want to float down. You want to float down to the bottom and you hit the bottom. And then you want that to just be able to just pick it up and let it kind of just barely fall, pick it up and just barely fall. But maintain the contact with the bottom.
Lightly.
Just lightly.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean a 10th ounce is always going to be something working for you, Nick?
Well, no, it might not, because if you had a little bit higher water like you did on Sunday, you might have to go a little bit heavier.
Absolutely.
But if all things were equal, or you had low water, you can get away with that 10th.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that. One of the things I like to do too, and I don't know what you like, Mike.
I know,
but I like the finesse shrooms with the Ned, and I like the weed guard.
Son, you're singing the right tune.
But it comes with two.
Yeah.
I take a pliers and I take one of them off.
Okay. Well, now you're getting weird.
Now I'm getting weird. I'm going half Corbin. I'm not going full Corbin.
Right. That's right. That's right. And I can't agree with you more with weedless.
Right.
Weedless allows you to keep the bait on the bottom without getting hung up every 5.5 seconds in certain cover.
Because you will.
It's just a pain in the neck. You get hung up a lot, and wind drag on your line will pull your bait into a rock. Current will push your bait into a rock, and we have to maintain that contact with the rock, bottom. We can't be picking up and hopping like this. We have to just help it over those rocks and help it along the bottom and help it do its thing. And it's slow, it's methodical, it's real slow fishing. That's what the challenge for me is, Nick.
Me too.
The challenge is you're picking that bait up and you're just like, you're so zoned in on what's going on with that. Even though it's super light and you're not feeling everything, what's going on with it. You feel it coming up over that rock. You understand it falling down off of that rock. You understand it coming through that little sparse little grass that you have out there.
You feel everything.
You feel every little thing, but it's not digging into it.
Yeah.
It's floating around. It's kind of,
well, I like what you said there, because if you're hitting hard, the problem is every time you pull or yank, you're doing a movement that doesn't look natural.
It's too fast.
That might work in the warmer water, but it ain't gonna work now.
Sure. We've talked about that on our shows, where our great friend Pete Galusik won a damn tournament fishing 12 foot of water, but he was fishing over 1 ounce weight on a Senko.
Yeah, I know that.
Texas rig Senko.
And it worked.
And it was a rocket ship going to the bottom, and that's the only way you could get those fish to bite.
But that ain't gonna work now.
It's not gonna work now.
No.
That's right. You want to just keep it small, keep it light as you possibly can go, and contact the bottom and allow it to go. Now, my point here. George had this great idea that he wasn't, after the bite stopped right away when we pulled up on that spot that I took him to, and I told Corbin, he's going to whack him right here.
Right.
George thought after catching all the fish and the bite stopped, he said, I'm not getting down the way I need to get down. So he put a 1/4 ounce on, because I'm telling you, there was a lot of current coming over.
Yeah,
and then it was, and once you got busted through that current, once you busted it through that current, it would fall. Okay.
Get through that.
And you had to get through that. So it was a certain cast and it busted through that top current and the line cut through that current. Then it would fall nice and vertical. And then you get that bite. He thought that, it was pushing too far away from the ledge. So he wanted to get more vertical on this ledge. So he went to a 1/4 ounce, which was smart. It was a smart decision. Can't believe I'm saying that about George, but it was an absolute smart decision on his behalf. And he threw out there with the 1/4. It went right down along the ledge. Boom, 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 boom. Made another cast. Boom, 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 boom. Hanging up, snagging, all that kind of stuff. But getting down where it needs to be on that ledge really quick. But the fish weren't biting it. Didn't get a bite on the 1/4 ounce. Did not get a lick on it. Okay, 3/16. This is how crazy this guy is. George is so methodical. And that's why I love to fish with him, because he's so methodical. I'm not that methodical. He breaks out of 3/16, throws that out there, not hanging up as much, but still getting the nice proper drop, getting down alongside that rock, getting that vertical fall alongside that rock, still not getting bit.
Right.
For some reason, they wanted that thing to kind of drift and fall at a certain rate for them to eat it. An 1/8 ounce for that particular day was the weight that made that bite proper.
Right.
You understand that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, I might be saying you want this thing to tick real slow on the bottom and you really want to float as much as possible. But then in another instance, I want you to try not the fact that you want to fall real fast, hit the bottom, but once you hit the bottom, I want you just to drag it on the bottom. None of this floating stuff and real easy, maybe dragging it. And that may be what the bite is. So keep your eyes open. Keeping your eyes open on, trying some different stuff and seeing what and play out in your mind, wherever you're playing out in your mind, go ahead and play it out on the water.
And not only that, because too, like the next day, if let's say you got the next day, maybe it would have changed.
I've seen it.
You don't know.
I've seen it.
That's why you got to keep an open mind.
Well, in some of our shows, Nick, that when we talk about pattern fish and going out fishing, and we talk about this all the time, is the clean slate.
Yep.
The clean slate mentality. We went out on Sunday and absolutely hammered those fish. What we thought was hammering fish for the winter.
Right.
Which, is anything more than, whatever. We just had a great day of fishing and caught a good pile of fish. And it was, for wintertime fishing, that's hammering them.
That is hammering them.
Okay. And the next day, who knows? We didn't go, but who knows? We could have went the next day and only caught 3 or 4.
And
you know what's funny? One of our listeners here, and I haven't seen him chime in yet. One of our listeners here was out on Saturday, and this kid's a hammer. This kid catches them, and he went to his favorite body of water. So and he's there for 3 days a week minimum.
And his confidence is super high.
Is 3 days a week. He knows this body of water hardcore. And it was him and 2 other guys, and they caught 3 fish.
But see, that's what I was just going to chime in here. That's this time of year. It's almost like feast or famine.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
It is. And that's wintertime fishing. You can't expect a lot.
You can have the best day you ever had.
Yeah.
And you accept it and you love it and you enjoy it.
Yeah.
And you can go out there and be like, man, we just didn't figure them out today.
Well, that's the challenge of cold winter finesse fishing. Winter fishing is figuring them out, trying to catch them, and knowing that you're not always going to hit that bite window.
No, but the thing you could do, and what we're trying to really put out there, is a lot of individuals that are not catching fish right now. The real reason is you're fishing probably a little too fast.
Absolutely.
Slow it down.
Most guys it happens. It happens. The wind makes them do it. Yep. The boat position makes them do it. A couple of questions here, Nick. Preferred spinning rod weight and action for Ned and micro jig. And this is from Brandon Sandy. So, I was fishing a 7-foot medium spinning rod with 10-pound braid and an 8-pound leader for my particular day I was on. And that would have done very, very well for the Ned rig which it did, and also micro finesse jigs, the smaller finesse jigs. Now I'm talking micros. I'm talking, the shroom jig or the missile micro. So the small hook, the fine wire hook. I don't care the weight because a 7-foot medium will handle all the way up to 3/8 of an ounce.
Right.
But that fine wire hook with that 8-pound test and that 10-pound leader.
Yep. I'm right there with you. But as you can see, watching this show today, there's a little bit of a height difference between Mike and I.
Yeah.
I'm not like standing down. I'm here. I'm at a 6'10". I like a 6'10".
Sure.
And that works good for me.
That's a great rod. So it in my mind, a 6'8" MXF to a 7'1" MX is the rod you want to use. So a 6'8" MXF, medium extra fast. I like extra fast for sure. To a 7'1" extra fast medium. But that medium action is key, I think. It gives you a soft enough tip that you can throw these 1/8 ounce and 3/16 ounce baits and with the light line, not break off the light line. If you go to medium heavy, you'll find yourself snapping off on hook sets. And it's only because of the tip's too stiff.
It's too stiff for the line.
And so you set the hook. It's like, oh, there's my hook set. Tink.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're like, oh,
and
hell.
Speaking of that, Mike, here we talk about line again. Is this where you're going to 6 or are you sticking with 8? You going straight fluoro or you going leader?
So I have a rod with straight 6-pound fluorocarbon. Okay. I have a rod with straight 8-pound fluorocarbon. And then I have a rod with 10-pound braid to a whatever leader.
Right.
It could be a 6-pound leader, could be a 8-pound leader, and it could be a 10-pound leader if I'm down, or even 12 if I'm down at some of this tidal water stuff that we do in the wintertime.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So, don't forget, in our area, we have some awesome tidal water fishing. We have some awesome tidal water fishing in the winter where you're throwing, baits tight to cover, but it's cover.
Oh, yeah.
It's bad cover.
Yeah, it's bad cover.
Pylons with nasty stuff on it.
But they're in there.
That's where they're at. So you got to be able to rig up properly for that. So I really like my braided line setups. And I have a couple of them, Nick, that allow me to change my leader out very quickly.
I'm the same.
And be able to do that. But I still, in a lot of my situations where I'm not in heavy cover, I'm fishing, more open water, your lakes, your rivers, where you're dealing with current, that kind of stuff. I really like the 6-pound fluorocarbon, 8-pound straight fluorocarbon. And on Sunday, I think I fished my braided rod all day long.
Well, yeah, if it was working.
Actually, I showed up with one rod.
Now I got to ask you something.
Yeah.
Now, before the show started, I opened up one of these jars of smelly jelly, and to get prepared for the show, I had to use my smelling salts here. Yeah. Did you put any of this stuff on this weekend?
Okay. The most important thing, other than the most important things that we talked about tonight, okay, as in boat control and all that kind of stuff. So once you got all that most important stuff, you got it all figured out. Now you're going to go start fishing. Is scent,
right?
And the difference that makes to the bite.
I agree.
I mean, seriously.
I'm going to be honest. That's why in a lot of my fishing, I have baits picked out. You'll see a common theme.
Yeah.
A lot of max scent. We got the smelly jelly up here. There's other companies out there that have the scent. That's a real thing.
I've seen it. Even when we were out fishing on Sunday, we were firing the Kitech squid scent out there, and it seemed like you can get a bite or two right away. Mm-hmm. And then when you all of a sudden it just I don't think the scent's right. So this is what we use right here. George and I and Corbin, we're big crawfish anus stuff. Did I say that? I didn't mean that. I mean crawfish and S, or however you want to say it. But this stuff right here, man, is Corbin. Corbin proved it many, many times over. And then once I started fishing it, and what I thought was the scent kind of getting off of the plastic or whatever, you put this stuff on here and you throw out, and so many times immediately, boom,
Right.
you catch one. And so this time of year, no matter what we do, we might throw a couple casts just out of the pack, with the Kitech or the Max Scent. We might make a cast or two right out of the bag, but I'm telling you right away, man, we're going to a scent very, very quickly, and we're going to dose that thing up every 10, 12 casts. What's really nice about the smelly jelly is it stays on for a long time.
It does. It really
you can
does.
get it in the grooves of these baits, and it really holds on nice and it stays on there real nice. Absolutely game changer on the scent. We talk about it all the time on this show and how important it is. This is the smelly jelly. There's a couple of them that guys really do well with. And but this one, the crawfish anise, and the smelly jelly in the bass hammer or the bass feast, is the other ones that guys just have a lot of confidence in. And these things will absolutely.
This is no joke. I want to tell you when I learned, you watch our show, and I know many of you that are watching, listening, that we always try to steer you in the right direction. And there's a reason why we do what we do, right, Mike?
Oh yeah.
But I'm a marshal up in Cayuga for a Bass Elite event, and I picked two pros. These guys are fishing for a living. This is their career. They're not going to do anything when the cameras aren't, on them. That's not worth doing.
Yeah. And
both of those guys took the time out before throwing their baits in to put scent on. And that I'm sitting there thinking, because I know you do that too. You watch these guys.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, if he's doing that and he's getting paid to do this, and he wouldn't do it if it didn't work.
Yeah.
Then there's something to it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It takes somebody to some way to trigger it in your head.
Absolutely.
And I always, now, you get in warm water situations and you're catching fish on a spinnerbait, or you're throwing this, you're throwing that. There's times where you really don't need to worry about it with the, fish are really aggressive, but even still, if you're, finesse fishing, whatever, or you're throwing a jig and pig in a tree, I've seen it work, man. I've seen it so many times work and make such a huge difference that I made the change.
Yeah.
I hate putting scent on it. You have to stop. Got to stop, open the thing up, and you got to, get it in there. And then you got to try to hold it so it doesn't hit the floor. Get the lid back on it, holding your rod up. I hate it. But it's such a huge difference that I just make sure that, man, I'm going for that jar, man. I'm going for that jar. I'm going for that jar all the time. And I'm putting that stuff on. Game changer, ladies and gentlemen. Game changer. So make sure, and I'm not just trying to sell this stuff. I'm trying to make you catch, tell you that this will help you catch more fish. I'm not selling this stuff.
That's what we do. We try to, we want you to learn.
Now, Brandon Sandy's back on here, 7.2 medium light fast, X Pride. Well, you said the right word, X Pride. So, I'm not saying that a 7-foot or 7.1 medium spinning rod or a 6.8 or 6.10 medium spinning rod is the deal. You got to understand that everybody's rods are different, So what with X Pride, one of the things that you'll find with their medium light is a little stiffer.
Right.
It's a fuzz hair stiffer. It's a great rod because it allows you to jump into some drop shot and stuff and use that same rod with a Ned rig and some of the other stuff we're going to talk about, a finesse jig, because it has a really solid mid to butt section where you can set the hook. It's all of Shimano's, for some reason, they're a little stiffer than what I would consider a medium, and some of the G Loomis stuff has fallen over into that. The GCX series, for instance, you can fish medium lights all day long and it acts exactly like a medium in the GCX. But in a IMX, a medium is a true medium, and a GLX, a medium is a true medium. So, but you got to really feel these rods, and that's why it's so hard to buy a rod, in a catalog or online, because you got to push that tip around. You got to see what you're buying it for. But the X Pride, Brandon, medium light 7.2 would be a perfect rod for this, because it's made with a light tip, but a lot of butt section and hook set power in the mid section of the rod. That extra fast taper, or that fast taper, is quickly transferred into that backbone to get the hook set on some of these little bit bigger baits. So yeah, no problem on that at all. We got to keep moving along here because we're missing some stuff, but the Zodius rods, I know Joshua, I know you're going to love them. You didn't have to tell me that.
That's a great rod.
Joshua, you didn't have to tell me that. I knew it. When you bought them and you came in here and you were buying them and you said, man, I'm going to love these things. I knew it. I knew it, as Corbin would say.
So I got a bait for you here, Mike.
Yeah.
What about the tube? What about the old fashioned tube?
I love a tube in the dead of winter, the cold of winter, but you got to use a 2.5-inch tube.
Right.
Can't go to a 3.5-inch tube. You got to fish a 2.5-inch. Here you have it in a 2.5-inch max scent. Big time. Here's one you can see right here. This is the two colors, black and green pumpkin. And we just keep pulling these things out of here.
That's right.
Now, did I talk to you when you went out and pulled baits?
No, I did that before I did pre-tackle shop.
Yeah.
Live.
So I said, Nick, we're going to talk about, cold water finesse fishing.
Right.
And you need to go out here and get some baits that you think, you're going to fish.
Yep. Well,
this is exactly what I would have picked. Green pumpkin and black 2.5-inch tubes. Crazy. This is crazy stuff right here. This is the stuff that works. The 2.5-inch tube is a subtle, small profile. It's a subtle, small bait that will catch fish. It's the movement that allows the fish to think that it's natural, and they'll bite it. So that's a good one. And you have also, Nick, you grabbed the biggest thing about this.
Right.
We here at Susquehanna Fishing Tackle make a weedless jig head, and we spent, it seems like it's a pretty simple thing, but it was a nightmare coming up with this thing, coming up with the white wire and the wire hook. But the weedless wire on this thing, so many of them are too stiff.
Yeah.
And you go to set the hook and it just doesn't pop out of the way.
Important.
So important. And the reason why you cut one of the wires away from the same thing.
That's what exactly
you want the weedless effect, but you also want to get out of the way when it's time to get out of the way.
Especially this time of year.
Yeah. So we throw the Susquehanna Fishing Tackle weedless jig head. And these are on our website also, sfttackle.com. It's a weedless jig head. It has a wire guard on it. I'm going to have to show one of these guys to you because this is so important. Nick's going to hold it up here for you, but it has a wire weed guard that you can put over the point of the hook. And the key is not to get it to go behind the barb, but it gives you that complete weedless effect when it's inside of a tube. You're not gonna hang up. So in the wintertime, when you're, at least in my areas, when you're fishing, the water's going up, the water's going down, the water's going up, the water's going down. But when the water goes up and it's on the western shoreline and it's beating on that stuff, those fish go into bushes.
Oh yeah.
They go into sticks. They go where it's warm. So a foot of water is warmer than 8 foot of water in the wintertime.
Right.
So they're going to move right up into those bushes, and you can throw a tube head into that. Now, you guys that don't like weedless stuff, this may not be your game. This right here, because I fish with guys who try to do what I do, and they break off 7,000 jigs in one day. So this one here will allow you to throw in those bushes up when that water flows up. Now, this is also lake fishing, Nick.
Absolutely.
I mean, when your lake goes back up, it's going to have what? All kinds of grass and sticks and stuff on the banks. And
yeah, it's the same concept. When the water's rising, you know where the fish are going to go.
Yeah, they're going to go where it's warm. I'm telling you. And plus out of the current and out of the nastiness and the bait fish. You know why they go there? Because the bait goes up there to get out of that nastiness.
Right.
That's where the bait goes. So that's where the fish go. So this is a jig head that will allow you to fish where nobody else is fishing. I'm telling you, I promise you guys, this is one you definitely want to follow. You definitely want to fish, and you put it in that 2.5 inch tube, and it'll absolutely work great for you. So I guess the last thing we want to talk about, me and Nick, is we want to talk about drop shotting. Drop shotting in the wintertime is absolute classic awesomeness. You know, it will absolutely catch fish for you. And one of the reasons that it'll catch fish for you is because it presents the bait very subtly and very quietly. And it gets it up out of the mud, and it can just hover there, just above the mud. And you'll absolutely hammer them. There you go, Nick. Hang on one second. Let it focus. There you go, right there. And absolutely, you can hammer fish on this. It just holds it right in front of their face. And this is a time where you don't want to have like a 25 inch leader, you know, or 24 inch leader. You want to go small. You want to go 9, 8, 9, 10 inches, maybe 12 inches at the max, and really mess around with that length, that shorter length a little bit. Because all you want it to do is just get up off the bottom a little bit and just have it hover right in front of their face. So it's to me, it's a really awesome cold water 34, 32, 33, 38, 37. Just a great presentation, especially when you're dealing with like really major pockets, or real dead pockets, or you're dealing with lake fishing points and rock banks and bluff walls. It's just great for that.
And I'd like to add, you don't want to overpower your weight again.
Yep.
And a lot of guys with their drop shot, they get used to this in the summertime. They throw that drop shot out there and they let it sink, but then they're almost doing a shaky head thing back to the boat.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that right now.
Yeah.
Again, you want to let the flow.
Oh yeah.
What are you looking for, Mike?
That tube head.
Oh, they want to see how you rig that.
Oops.
Oh, so let me bring the camera over.
Yeah. You see how short this thing is. This is for Greg Plank, who wants to see how it's rigged up. Look how short that thing is. That thing's just a little bitty. It's just a little bitty thing. It's such a pretty little thing. Look at that. I'm telling you, 2.5 is exactly what it is. It's no longer. It goes to my first index finger, goes to my first joint, my second joint on my finger. Right that hinge. Real small little presentation. So the weedless head. The first thing you do is you undo the wire. Okay, now the wire's open. And then you take the wire and you open up your tube here. You can see the tube is hollow. And then you just run your wire right up inside the tube. And then I'm going to feel back here where I want it to come. I'm sorry, Nick, where I want it to come out. I don't want it to come out the very top. I want to come just back where I think the eye is going to come out, just back behind where the eye is going to come out. And I push the wire through like that. See that? And then I go back up here again, and I kind of start that hook in, and that hook in there, and I just follow that right in there. Just push it right up on, making sure I'm not pulling any of the legs up. And I just push it right up on until it just pops in there where it needs to be. And then I push everything down real nice. Some kind of little burr on there or something. Yeah, there's some kind of piece of lead there. See that lead right there? That was screwing me up, Nick. But then you just push that right in there, and there you go. You got the eye out. You got your wire ready to go, and then you just hook that in behind the tip. But you don't want to go behind the barb, Nick. Okay? You don't want to go behind the barb. You want to stay for you guys. You want to stay right on the tip, and that's it. Now it's stiff. What is that piece of piece of, yeah, got that all screwed up. But you know, it's stiff, but it's stiff enough that now when you're ready to set the hook, it's going to fly out of the way and you're going to get the hook set. Even if, and this is for you doubters, this is for you, you're crying Corbins, okay? Even if you miss a couple of fish with this, okay? Even if the wire gets pushed back and it gets in the wrong spot and you miss a fish with it, think about this. I'm going to throw and I'm going to fish this bait probably 20% longer than you're going to fish your bait on open hook. Maybe even high as 40% longer if it's in the serious brush with this setup right here. So if you are a negative Nancy about the weed guard, like some people are,
oh yeah,
and Corbin's like the giantest one of them all. And I'm not saying nothing about Corbin that I didn't say to his face 3,000 times. Because I love Corbin and he's just a bullheaded whatever. He just bullheaded, got a thick skull and can't get through. You know, can't get through to him. This thing will absolutely smash him in those conditions. And you can, all you got to do is set the hook a little fuzz hair smaller, a little fuzz hair more of a push, and you'll get them hooked. And yes, every now and then you're gonna lose one.
right.
Okay. But you wouldn't have caught that fish because guess why? It was on that 20% cast.
You're going to have much more opportunities at hooking up.
Absolutely.
With the more cast you're getting.
But you know, the other thing that people cry about is on a 2.5-inch tube, is see where that hook, how big that hook is on there.
That doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter at all. They don't see it. They don't care. The wire, people say, they see the wire. No.
And it's not affecting those little legs.
Yeah, it's not affecting the legs. They're doing their thing, and it's nice and subtle. You can fish this thing on a 3.5-inch tube as well as you can on a 2.5-inch tube. That's a 3.0 hook, and it works great on that. So,
and if you didn't get to see what we just seen there, you can go on our YouTube, and we have a video that shows you how to do that.
Set that all up.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. So that is a critical thing, and do not think that drop shotting isn't a serious thing for winter fishing, as it is. Think about it. Winter fishing, finesse, super ultra finesse, drop shotting, finesse, super ultra finesse. So drop shotting, great with 6-pound test line.
Oh, yeah.
Great with 8-pound test line. Great with a 3-inch bait. Great with a 4-inch bait. Great with a little small little whatever, minnow style, crayfish style, whatever. Flatworm.
Yeah, your favorite bait.
Holy crap, the flatworm. I mean, come on, put that on there and go at it, you know. So
I like what you said too, Mike, about the lighter line, because, you know, here's my thought process with the light line with these baits that we're showing you. We're looking at finesse. We're looking at very, very slow presentations. I know you're looking at the river and that bait is working its way down through with the current. But for me, I'm looking at more lake fishing.
Yeah.
And so that means that those fish are going to have more time to look at that bait because I'm letting it sit longer. The lighter line I use, the less they can see that line, the more realistic that bait looks. And that's what I'm looking for.
Sure. Beautiful.
Yep.
Another great thing about light line, 6-pound test line. It allows the bait to fall and hit the bottom and do exactly what we're talking about, that float around type of presentation with lighter weight.
Right.
It allows the current to not catch the line and pull the line as fast as if you had an 8-pound test.
Well, yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't move the bait as fast as an 8-pound test line. It keeps it a lot more subtle. So now when we're talking for right in my area, this is just my area. Now when we're talking 34-degree water temperature, I'm throwing 6-pound test a lot. All my stuff. I don't want it to move hardly at all. I want it to just barely move, slower than the current, keep it in their face and let them look at it longer. Nick's situation, cold, stinking water. It gets down to the bottom. The wind can't pull it around. The wind current can't push it. The wind can't catch his line as much and drag it out of the spot.
Right.
It just sits there.
Sits there.
So that's what the 6-pound line does. It allows the bait to even give it a little bit more action, a little bit, not more action, a little bit more lifelike movement in the water. As the wind currents move it, as the currents off the rocks or whatever, it gives you that little bit more movement. And line.
And Mike, when we're talking about line here, because some of the viewers and listeners might not know, we're specifically talking fluorocarbon.
Oh yeah, period.
Right.
Period. End of statement.
Yep.
Got to have fluorocarbon. Because you guys hear us talk about it. The bite for finesse fishing is a pressure bite.
Yeah.
This thunk, and maybe in the afternoon, right before you go, right before you're getting ready to leave, when the sun's been beating on that bank all day long, you might get that thunk, and it might be that, oh, there's one, but the rest of the time, you're like, and I tell my people when I take them fishing and this stuff, if it feels like a leaf hanging on there, right?
Yeah.
Set the hook.
What's Mike always say about hook sets?
Hook sets are free, baby.
That's right.
Hook sets are free. If it feels like a leaf or a piece of grass hanging on there, chances are, if you're in around fish or you were catching fish, it's a fish. Just set the hook. If it's not, it didn't cost you a nickel, because that's the type of bite it is. It's one of them things where you don't even, it's just like a sensation that you feel. Right. Which brings me to equipment, Nick.
I was just going to say, this is not where you what?
This is not where you want to go skimpy on your tackle here. This is the rod that the wife gets pissed off at you for, or the boyfriend that that doesn't approve of you fishing. You go out and you spend, a big chunk of money on a rod and reel, and he's pissed off about that. You piss somebody off about buying this rod.
Yeah, because this is going to be a difference between, if you have 3 people in your boat.
Yep.
This is going to be a difference between you catching fish and maybe not.
I'm telling you, the rods I use allow me to catch fish that I think a lot of people wouldn't feel.
Yep.
that don't fish this type of equipment.
Right.
This is where it really shines.
Now, Mike, because most anglers, let's be real. Most anglers, if they're going to spend that kind of money for this rod, what else can they use it for the rest of the year so that they can get the most out of it?
Nah, this is a rod. This is a rod you use all the time,
right.
And that's why that's why when I said you can drop shot, this year, you use that same rod for drop shotting. You use that same rod for throwing a bigger tube. Use that same rod for throwing a little bit bigger jig in the summertime. Use that same rod for throwing top waters. You use that same rod for a lighter shaky head.
So it's an all-around rod.
It's a rod you do everything with.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, it's a rod that does everything, but and that's the rod you buy. Brandon was saying about buying a medium light. He's worried about it. You don't need to be worried about that rod. That thing, man, it's a kick-ass backbone to it, but it has a light tip. So maybe on a couple of things, Brandon, in the summertime, you're not going to be able to fish that rod on a couple of baits. A Senko with a 3.0 offset hook probably won't be the best rod to throw that on, just because the hook's bigger,
right?
And you're probably throwing it in grass or something. The Texas rig on a 3.0 offset hook.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to be realistic about it. But that's a rod that's going to do everything for you. It's a rod that you can afford to spend that money. Now, what's that price? It's the price that pisses somebody off. Now, it could be $200. It could be $180. It could be $99 if you spend the right $99, like we talked about. Or it could be $600. It could be $400. It could be $349. It could be, one of those deals.
Right.
So, do it at your level, whatever it is, but go somewhere and talk to somebody that knows about rods and graphite and say, this is how much money I have. I want the best damn rod I can get for it.
So that somebody for me is you, Mike. And I'm going to ask you something.
That's what we do.
I come in this store and I want a great rod. Where you point me?
You?
Yeah, anybody.
I mean, to me, I go right to like Shimano Zodius. I go to a St. Croix Victory.
Great rods.
I go to a IMX G Loomis.
Yep.
And then I feel you out a little bit there, and I find out that, no, I want to get a rod.
Right.
I want to get something crazy. And then we'll talk about, NRX Loomis, IMX Loomis, GLX Loomis, X Pride. We'll talk about X Prides. We'll talk about Poison Adrena.
Oh,
We'll talk about some of this other stuff. But the point is that $189 rods are phenomenal. I mean, the Victory rod is phenomenal.
You said it the other week, Mike.
It's stupid good.
We go down to ICAST. These companies, they're at it.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I fish. I'm not lying, you guys. I fish NRX rods for this. I fish G Loomis, NRX. I have been buying one every year for the last 10 years. I have 10 of them. I buy one every year for 10 years, and I got 10 NRX Loomis rods that I absolutely freaking love them. And they're all my finesse stuff. I have that 7-1 medium. I have 2 of those. I have the 6-8 medium. I have the 6-8 medium heavy. I have everything covered for finesse fishing, and I have everything covered for regular fishing where I need the sensitivity. And I only buy one a year. I don't screw around. I got that kind of money.
Right.
Even at the price I get them at, I don't have that kind of money.
Now, are you a 2500 series reel or 3500 series or 3000 series, 2000?
Well, I mean, I don't think that's really critical. You buy a 2500 if you're a smallmouth guy, and a largemouth for most largemouth stuff, but a 3000 you buy if you like the handle, or you need, or if you're a guy that fishes a little bit more straight fluorocarbon. The 3000 in the Daiwa is a little bit bigger. I like that for handling straight fluorocarbon a little bit better. The 3000 also gives you some capacity if you're into crossing over. I'm all about using one rod for a lot of things.
I am too.
And if I'm crossing over into some largemouth stuff, I could put a bigger braid on there. 3000 is a little lighter. If I want to go flounder fishing.
Yeah, that's fun.
Back bay flounder fishing. I use my 3000s. I love it. And you guys know I love to catch stripers, so I use it for all my Chesapeake Bay striper fishing. I use 3000s with 15-pound braid on it. And that's just, and I change my leader out to whatever I need. And it's very, very critical. So those rods, anything will work, or those reels, anything will work for those rods, but you want a proper balance. So, weight makes a rod more sensitive. And I don't know how it does it with reels and why it does it with reels, but it does. If you put a really light rod with a really light reel, it's more sensitive than a really light rod with a regular aluminum frame reel.
Right.
So I really want to look at carbon fiber reels for that super sensitivity.
Yeah.
And that weight goes away, and it changes the way that the vibration travel. I don't know what it is, but I fished them both ways, and I absolutely can tell you that a carbon fiber body makes a difference when sensitivity is on the line.
And that's just it. Everything we talked about tonight, you need that sensitivity.
This is we're talking maximum sensitivity, right. Maximum everything for this type of fishing. So,
yep.
So that pretty much covers pretty much everything, Nick. We rolled, man.
Oh, hey, what did I say earlier? Yeah. Time flies.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun. Well, we miss you, George. We miss you very much. Oh, yeah. We wish you were here because I know you had a million nuggets you wanted to talk about, and I know everybody wanted to hear George's nuggets because whatever, the guy knows his stuff.
He knows. He forgot more than I probably.
He just knows his stuff, and he doesn't forget anything.
And he does.
He's amazing with that, and he's very, very, very successful with his fishing, and he just thinks stuff out very, 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 very well. And it's really great to have that in our mix, Nick.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? To have that whole type of that real deep thought stuff.
Well, and I was thinking about this on the way down through here. You guys set the standard, you and George, and you guys surrounded yourself with like-minded people that want to do what we do.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't work without anybody
on
that team. And George does a great job, and he'll be here next week, and he'll be ready for Bass Fest.
But I gotta tell you, Nick, it was really nice doing this with you.
Oh, I had a ball.
Did you?
Oh yeah.
It was fun.
Oh yeah.
It was fun to to listen to you talk about fishing, because I know you love it so much. You're one of the biggest junkies I've ever met in my life.
Well, you know what? It's like I said, you try to surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
And you guys are the right people. And that's what I like to do. And everybody that's watching this, listening to this, you guys are great. Every week you're coming on here. You're asking questions. You're having a great time. And then, I know when they come next week for Bass Fest, they're going to be all pumped up.
Yeah.
Happy to see us and, asking stuff. So that's what it's all about.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Robert, I told George, he wanted to come back and today, and I said, no, I don't want to get sick. So I'm not even going to let him come back tomorrow. Really. I really don't need him. I'm going to make him stay home tomorrow too, because I just don't want to get sick either, because you're down 3-4 days. It must have been horrible. I'll tell you how bad it is. He didn't even call me.
Yeah, that ain't like George.
He just texted like, I'm not gonna be in. I could tell right away, man.
Feel better, bud.
Yeah, he will. He'll feel better. He always bounces back, but he's really classic. George is classic for that one big sickness a year.
He told me that. He goes, Nick, I don't get sick much, but when I do,
it's a freaking hammer. So, thank you guys so much for joining us for another show. Appreciate everything. Get Bass Fest on your calendar, January 13th and 14th. You definitely want to come for that. And while you're here, guys, just hit the like and share buttons, or whatever, all the buttons, Nick.
Yeah, we got YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
Great like bunch of guys.
Comment on there. We appreciate it. If
you're
on Facebook, like and share.
Yep.
It goes a long way. Comment. And if you're on TikTok, it's nice seeing you out there.
Nice seeing you guys. Absolutely. Yeah. Andre Alvarez, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Andre was up. Finally got a chance to hang out with Andre. He's a once a year. He's from Washington area. So he's a once a year guy who goes up to see his friends around holidays. He always stops in. He brought us all kinds of cookies and a nice bourbon here, awesome. and also a nice bottle of wine. We appreciate you guys. And George, I'm not even gonna say your name. There it is, bro. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Quality stuff there. I appreciate it. And until next time, we will see you guys on the next Tackle Shop Live.
Sunny day, right there you took my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream? The next day you called me up, you told me I'm your little buttercup. You came over and you fell into my arms. Well, I know what I feel. Please tell me your love is real. You make me smile when I think of you. If I am down, knowing how you're blue, I can't get enough. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. I woke up all soaked in sweat, with chills running down my neck. I'm going crazy from just the thought of you. A long blonde hair and your beautiful smile. Your sense of humor makes it all worthwhile. Don't make me wait, it's not a funny game. You know just what I feel. Please tell me your love is real. You make